Alright guys, I just want to give you a little update on my sprinkler timer system. I think the last video I made I had all that stuff done already. Maybe I've added a valve since then, but I've added in my electrical box out here now. It's an all-weather box, and that will allow the sprinkler timer to be plugged into it all the time. It's not your, it's got a big dome over it, so it can be plugged in rain or shine. You want to make sure you get one of these and not one that just has little flip covers, because the ones that have the flip covers aren't designed to have stuff plugged into them all the time. They're designed to be weather resistant, but not while in use. So just make sure you get the right thing when you're doing an application like this. Anyway, so when I first had this rigged up, I just drilled a hole through the wall. You can't even see it now, but it's down there. That second valve from the left, it's right behind that. There's a hole through the wall, and I had shoved the power cord for the sprinkler box through the wall and plugged it in inside. The problem with that is, one, I had about 1.25 inch hole for one wire running through it, and that's, makes a big opening. That wall is hollow, there's no insulation, and I have, honeybee hive right here, so when they go to swarm in the spring, I didn't want them getting inside my wall. So I fixed that. I just ran that piece of conduit there. That's actually a 90-degree turn, and it fit perfectly so that the conduit comes down from the box. Inside that junction, it takes a 90-degree turn. It runs slap through the wall, and on the inside, you can see where it comes out down there. I just used 3/4 inch PVC. It's the same size as 3/4 inch conduit. Just use it as a guide to run through the wall. And then that is my pump relay. And then I wired in a GFCI receptacle, which I know I still need to get a faceplate on, but I just did all this last night. So basically the way the whole system works is I've got my main power lead coming in right there. It goes through the GFCI for protection. And then it goes into the pump relay box. Now inside the relay box, one wire just completely bypasses the relay, and that runs out to the timer controller. What I had to do was take the receptacle, and you can cut the tabs on the sides of your receptacle so that you can make one receptacle, or one plug-in outlet, whatever you want to call it, serve as two separate receptacles, two independent receptacles. So I had to cut the tabs on that. So one wire runs straight through the relay box. That's the one that you see that's still insulating coated going out there. That goes out, and that carries the ground and goes out to the timer. So the timer is hot all the time. The two smaller wires in the back here, these two white wires, are coming from the timer, and that's the pump signal wires. So anytime a zone opens up to run the sprinklers, it sends a signal in here to the pump relay that says, hey, the pump needs to turn on. So that brings power into the relay, and then it opens the relay, sends power back out through these two independent black and white wires, which come back out, back to the conduit and back into the bottom of this cover here, so the pump can be plugged in. The big bonus to that is that the pump is plugged in outside and not inside, so if I ever do have to pull the pump loose, I just thread loose the two unions right there. I can pull the pump out and I can use it for other stuff, because I use it to help my wife, pump water out of her fish tanks and whatnot too. So that way my pump's not permanently plumbed into the system. But I did test it last night, and everything worked. It was great. I set up a zone for 9 p.m. to kick on, open a zone and kick the pump on, and everything went off without a hitch. So that's pretty exciting. That's why there's still wires strung everywhere, kind of messy right now, because I just wired it all up real quick so I could see it work. But next to come on this is I will be laying the lines coming off the timers. One of the valves, the one probably on the far left, is going to go along the ground here and out under the fence, and then along the fence, and it'll water all my blackberries and my grapevines that are out there. And then each of these three will go to the three independent raised beds that I have. And then I've got space to expand. This is a 12-zone timer, so I've got space to add 8 more valves along the bank there, and that will be used to run lawn sprinklers or whatever else I need to run it for. I also do have the Rainbird, the sensor, the rain sensor. I don't know why I said Rainbird. I think it's made by Orbit or Rainbird 1, but it's just the rain sensor, and I'll get it mounted up here on the edge of the gutter. Probably, it's good overhead. There's no tree. I mean, there's a tree there, but that doesn't affect anything. But you want to have it mounted out in the open. So if you do get a little rain shower, that rain sensor will catch any water, and then it'll interrupt, and it'll tell your pump cycle to actually stall, so you're not watering your garden in the rain, which would just be wasteful. If you recall, then I have my 3 totes. I have the one on the ground there, and then the 2 up here. And what I'm actually going to do as part of this major project is I'm going to build a 3rd compost bin and stand like this. I'm going to move this tote over to that space right there, so I have 3 in a row. Plumb them all together as a supply line for my sprinkler system. That gives me 1,000 gallons, which is not enough to water the lawn or anything necessarily. I mean, it will a couple times, but Mostly I want it for the garden and the plants and stuff. And then where this barrel sits here right now, I'm going to build a smaller stand. I'm going to put a 55-gallon drum back on it like I used to have. And I'm going to put a sump pump in it, so the gutters will drain directly into that 55-gallon barrel. When it starts to fill up, that sump pump will kick on. It'll discharge water over here to the 3 main banks. So again, that'll really help automate things, because right now I have the big tote on the ground so that I have a little bit of capacity if I'm at work or something like that and it starts raining. I don't have to run out here and transfer water right away. But you know, there's something about that thought of running an electrical pump during a lightning storm while standing on an aluminum ladder with all these aluminum surrounded cages that I don't like. So I'm going to get the sump pump hooked up. That way it's fully automated anyway. I don't even have to think about coming out here if I'm at work or if I'm asleep or whatever. It's all taken care of. So anyway, just a little update on how my project's going. The last note is that on the end, once I get all 12 zones hooked up on the end of the bank there, I will tie in from city water with a check valve or an anti-flow or reverse flow valve. That way if the totes are running dry, or if I'm going on vacation, I know I won't be back and they might run dry while I'm gone, I'll just turn the totes off and turn city water on and let it run the system. So that way I don't have to run the pump or anything like that while I'm gone. I don't have to worry about it. So anyway, pretty cool deal. I'm pretty excited about it. Just thought I'd share with you guys how everything's going. One more note that I want to recommend to you guys. This pump right here, that's a Wayne 1 horsepower sprinkler booster pump. I got this, I think Northern Tool sells them for about $135, something like that. It's a pretty good little pump though. I highly recommend it. I actually bought it used on Amazon. It was manufacturer refurbished, and I got it for 35 bucks. Well, we'll say 65. I got $30 off because I signed up for the Amazon credit card. But it's a good little pump. That's a stainless steel or aluminum housing. This is all cast iron back here. And the insides of this is all plastic, which, yes, that makes it soft or brittle if it's cold, whatever, but more importantly, it doesn't wear. So it's not like cast iron internals. And with my wife's fish tanks and stuff, we do run more sand than I would like through this thing. I actually had to take it apart and clean it last night because it was packed full of sand. But you take off just a couple of bolts right there, 4 bolts, that whole cover pulls off. All of your inside components just pull apart. There's no screws or glue or anything like that on the inside. It's just rings and seals. So, and when it's clean, this little puppy's got some serious power to it. Now, 1 horsepower, but I tried to plumb it up last night and just slap PVC fittings together, just stuck them together, and that's worked in the past when it's dirty. Because when it's dirty, it doesn't, pump at full capacity. But with it clean, I tried to have those fittings on there. It kept blasting the fittings off and spraying water everywhere, so I had to shut down and actually glue things up. But okay, well, that's it for tonight. If you guys have any questions or comments, maybe ideas on how I can improve things, or questions about how I'm looking to do things, give me a comment and let me know. See ya.